Hello, everybody, welcome. Rosa Psych Investigator, hello, everybody, welcome. Rosa Psychic Investigator. So, guys, a lot happening. I got the, I was gonna say I got the goods. No, I felt compelled to make a video today. Sometimes things work. Sometimes the setup is improving over here. And even though I didn't go to office today, I don't know. I'm back to making videos, chit chatting. So there's two things I want to talk about today. I'll talk about it separately. But the first thing is the gutting of the Voter Rights Act by the Supreme Court. In a way, this is something that is not shocking, right? But it's also very it's emblematic of what's happening, right? Like here, okay, let me show you. This is funny. No, it's not funny. But this is it's like it becomes so blingy. So this is the rosary. Okay, I told you I have different ones. And I have a medal here. I have another medal for St. George and the little like prayer for St. George. And I went to the feast of St. George. So I got a little ribbon. So I clip this to the whichever rosary I'm using. So this is the one. But anyway, so related to the protection, I like to ask for protection, a beautiful ray of light coming on top of my head as I breathe in. I feel my lungs as I breathe out. I create a circle. Like create a circle, I step into it. I step into it. I feel protected. I feel connected. I like to ask that information come only from the highest sources. That I create the good and all the good, and so that. So it's interesting because right away I'm getting and guys, I've said this before. Objectively speaking, the news, right, is really terrible. But the energy is not like, okay, I'm not saying that it's obviously real what we're observing, right? But I like what I guess energetically where I'm in, it does not feel that way. So this is what I start with. And then what I get, what I was just now it came through is saying that these people have planned this for, of course, decades, right? And by the way, I suggest if you haven't read this book called Democracy in Chains, I read this book and it's so revealing because it talks about the history of the right in the US. I mean, the far right, let's say, and how they have been planning to cut the civil rights for decades. That's their thing. And this is very planned. This is organized. This is not right. Things don't just happen. Right. So what I'm getting here is that finally they get what they want, right? They vote to, to annihilate it, to like carve it out, right? Completely. That's their dream, their goal. And then I see that there's a sort of like an emptiness to them. First of all, like they should be quote unquote celebrating, right? Like this is their dream. Oh wow. Finally white supremacy is back. Oh. I mean as if it had left, but doesn't make sense, right? It's finally, we show them. We're gonna show them. But there is an enormous emptiness in them and everything feels cold. The vibes are heavy wherever they are, and it just feels like there's it's almost like not only they've reached the bottom, they've achieved their goal, right? But it feels very empty. And they were so animated by all these thoughts and their plans, but now that they got it, why? So what does that mean? Tell me, what does it mean, Spirit? It's very hollow. It's a very hollow victory because the population hates it. It's so clear to them how people are fighting back and how they cannot essentially silence people because they thought if they could only pass this, then it would be back to the time when the population is silenced, when people of color are silenced. But it's the opposite is happening. So they didn't think of that. They thought, oh, right? It's because it's all a fantasy. It starts with this fantasy and they push it at power. And now that they got this, they realize that they don't have, it's a very empty victory and they don't have the support to sustain it. So it's saying that throughout these decades, they kept feeding themselves the idea that it was just, oh, it's fake. It's really, it's just a weakness. So whatever it is that whichever story they were telling themselves, but now they see there's no way out. Like it's hasn't achieved what they thought it would achieve, which is some sort of like, it's a fantasy of the return to their imagined 50, whatever it is that they want. It's not happening, which is the thing that bothers them the most is people having voices. I'd say, of course, Rosie, they are doing the Hungarian model where they can silence the press, they can do all these things, but people are not silent. And people are saying no to the AI data centers. Like I said, and it's interesting because a lot of these people in technology are like, oh, why don't people love data centers? And it's like, wow, if you people hadn't aligned with the same people there that are like very dedicated to removing our rights, then it would be different, right? It's like, oh, really? So this is the thing that it's saying they hate the most. That other people's voices are not silenced to the degree that they want it. And it's saying they realize there's no solution, that it has not achieved what they want. Okay, so that's now this is what I pick up from this whole event. Now, having said that, let's go forward and then see what's going to happen next. So then the next question is, what happens next? What happens to the midterms, right? So first, what happens next? Interesting. I see the SCOTUS, especially John Roberts, the ones that voted for this and picked this outcome, and it's like I said, it's their big plan, right? Then they're on a stage and there's a whole day like a trap door, and they fall into it and they go, and there's Kamala there, and we win. I know it's like it sounds a little strange, but so how do we get there? Because it's pretty dire where we are at right now. How do we get there? See, this is all built on a lie. This administration is built on a lie, and this is built on a lie. And it's saying actually, Rosa, this is also, it's telling me about the astrology, how this fell on the time when things culminate, but a culmination was also an end. So they achieved the thing, but it's again a hollow victory because it's the wrong time, right? We have moved, and they're just because they have power, it doesn't mean, right? This is like the sense of human power. It doesn't mean that they will sustain it because they got it through corrupt means. So okay, so the big mystery is, where is this? Okay, I'm just asking, being, devil's advocate here. So where is the so-called help that's coming to us? Because it seems far away. It's saying it's collapsed because the whole thing has no public support. And it's saying these things are all connected. The stock, like the AI bubble, the vote, like going after elections, the corruption, all of it. So how is this stopped? It's losing steam. And what about the midterms? What's going to happen in the midterms? It's saying Congress is collapsing. Though it's saying the whole thing is dissolving because they have no public support. And I see people kind of like especially in the local level, right? Especially when I think of the whole there's these really interesting articles about what the public is doing about the data centers, and it's saying that the people that are doing this are actually not the people that you think, or like that the media depicts as those so-called protesters. These are like well-to-do people that often will are very, very educated and will vote against the local officials who are allowing this to happen. So all the people, doesn't make sense. So they're realizing it's very hard to stop this, and they just don't even with all the hundreds of billions that they have, it's not enough because it's not a legitimate government. So how do we get to the point where government is declared non-legitimate because they keep doing things? Like, when is it going to call? What takes? Because is there any there's never a bottom. It seems like. Is it just the great? They obviously they want to create the Great Depression in a way or another. How does it end? How does it stop? It's saying change is a constant of life, and they are creating a fake form of progress halting. So it is going to collapse. It's just telling me in a very calm manner, it's not going to work out long term or short term. But it's okay. I was going to ask, where are the people with courage? It said, and then they showed me Jeremy Powell, right? So, okay, let's see. So, what happens to, like, because for example, I was going to ask about what's going to happen to Clarence Thomas, and we have to talk also about King Charles because he was funny when he spoke. He mocked Trump. But I remember reading the guest list, and it was all these conservative SCOTUS people like Kavanaugh and others. So what happens next? I see people kind of interested going to Congress, being protesting hardcore, and them being people so happy them being ousted because they're so corrupt. And it's saying the energy is stronger than ever, even if it seems harder. It only focuses people further. And I saw this statement by Kamala, and I thought it was interesting that she spoke up about this. And her energy is clear. And I see it. So I have a question. Is Kamala gonna play a role into this change? So yes, of course she is. You know that Rose is saying. So it's it's interesting, guys. It just shows me that this blueprint for our change is in place, that there's nothing, even if they have the majority right now, it's saying again, hollow victory. It shows me something crumbling. It crumbles. So I don't know, again, the means, I don't quite understand how it will take place, but that's what it shows. Interesting for the mail. So what's going on with what's up with Trump today? And is he happy? And JD Vance. JD Vance is champagne. He's like clink clink, happy news. Ha ha ha. Oh yeah, oh yeah. So he's like happy that he's gonna be the president he thinks he's gonna be the president for the Christian right in his mind. And he thinks this further solidifies his lead in his mind. But then it shows me people behind the curtains listening in and plotting against him, and Trump getting more and more paranoid. So I'm gonna say. So guys, I got these cards. Okay, I use these Italian cards. I always talk, guys. I'm so behind with so many things, but it's okay. Sometimes I think I should do a class about it, but it's okay. I'm behind on so many things. I cannot barely do anything, but it's a great. I got the version that has the writing Portuguese, but it's interesting. So let's see what's going on here with the voting. What the Supreme Court did, and how will this be done? Let's see. I'm not going to show the whole table because it's a very awkward setup here, but let's see what a few cards at a time. So what's going on here with the Supreme Court? They've done, and how is it going to be done? Oh, interesting. Well, look, it's the delirious. This is the crazy people. Huh. Huh. Oh yeah. Let's go that way. Hegseth, look, Kas Patel and John and Don Jr. Oh, oh, the delirious, but it's the crazy people, right? It's the people that are going. Oh, interesting. This is a card of the pride. It's like this is the facade is exposed. Now, the old woman, this is interesting because it's also a card of tradition in a good way, but it's also, right, a card of tradition, traditional, or what the old guard, the Republicans have been pushing. Or because we have to be honest, this isn't just about Trump. Truthfully, this is not obviously I'm not defending Trump, but this is not necessarily of his own doing. Like I said, if you read this book, Democracy and Change, that's their goal. So it's something that has been in the works for a long time now. Interesting. The doctor means advice. Wrong advice. Okay, soon, unexpected or delayed. All right, so then more gift tips. Oh, corruption, right? Again, women, young women. Interesting. Oh, this could be the EPS, right? Young women. Oh, ending. Okay, ending and this them being silenced. Attacks. Interesting. Interesting. Attacks. Just a minute. That's right. Information. So it just shows that it tells me the whole thing, the truth. They cannot silence us, and it's referring in a way, I think, to the UPS files. And this is information, right? So you see, this card means information, all the books, right? But upside down, some sort of shady information. And this war, it's saying Trump has never been as unpopular. The foreign influence, right? The people who work for him, the deals, right? And it's saying it's all pretty much public. And it's saying it's collapsing. And that's that. Okay, so let me pause here, then go to the question. More specific, I want to get a bit more specific about the midterms. So the next question is, where will we be as a country when the midterms come around? So show me today. Show me. Let's see, November 15th, 2026. Where, tell me about Democrats, Republicans. I see Kamala speaking. I see, it's interesting, people holding these like umbrellas, and it feels like ice storm, like it's colder, right? This November. It's not that cold, but it feels like people are standing outside, and Thanksgiving feels great. And it's also, again, I have this image of people like swarming the Congress, like everybody going in. And I see that people are startled, people, meaning that people in Congress are startled that they can't just, you know, how like it's no longer about lobbying. They have to do what the population wants because people have the power. We, the people. And I see that they're kind of cowering now because we're demanding, like they kind of like, they think they've lost it. They have to do as they were told because you know that the whole point is that they're supposed to be our representatives. And not the representatives of Peter Thiel or whatever. And it's okay, Sheldon Peter Thiel in jail. Okay, that's right. Saying it feels like a different like time in the sense that it's no longer about the people that, like, does this make sense? Again, it to me, I'm telling you this, as much as I'm telling you this, I'm also like, okay, so are we gonna get, it's still, we're not seeing it, right? We're not, but I see Peter Thiel out, and it's saying all the connectedness that they had with these oligarch types, it goes away because now they have to pretend like they didn't have anything to do with it, or they have to change in such a way that they see that a lot of them, and to be honest, even Democrats, some of them are not prepared to not having to answer to the lobbyists, right? So and so, okay, what is Kamala doing? The way forward. Like, I have to say, there's something a little bit like somber, like serious about it. but it feels like the war has been won in the sense of the war within America, right? Like that it's a sombering truth. Oh, and where's so it's Trump who's tell me about Trump. Shows me he falls into a hole the same events. Again, I don't again it's hard to tell how. Again, like I said, I think I've talked about the military and all that, but it's it's saying there's no there there. So and I see it tells me this whole bubble will collapse. And it's saying this, the bottom line you have to remember is that when you lie, imagine the lying they're doing at scale is so egregious. They cannot keep this up for much longer, whether it's the market or whatever. The whole thing is collapsing. And the more it collapses, the more energy it takes to keep it going. So it's ultimately very difficult. Okay. And yeah. So that's what I'm getting. Eventually the whole thing just completely collapses. Because they're right, they go lower and lower, and it's so detached from the era we're in. So okay, so that's what I'm getting. It's just- okay, so let's. What about the Supreme Court though? What's gonna happen to them? Saying they're illegitimate. It's saying all okay. It is showing me even Kavanaugh and the Epstein files. Actually, remember how he was mentioned in the files? A lot's coming out. So okay, so it's saying just you have to have faith and you have to pray and all that because it's hard to see, right? Doesn't make sense if we look at the logic of it. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But it shows me the French Revolution. Did the French Revolution make sense, quote unquote, at the time? We're not gonna have a guillotine, but that's what it's saying. People have the power. That's what I'm getting. So all right. Okay, so I'm gonna go for the now and have a good one. Good night. Love you guys. Thank you for watching. Bye.